Good day everyone, my name is Nikki Arvega. For today's video, we will summarize the lesson 14, which is the Philippine pop culture and experience economy. The topic covered affective networks, body, music space, time, technology, globalization, and identities and popular culture. For the affective networks, this tackled about the language of victimization to all people who blog and tweets. The difference is that the anxiety about victimization construes blogging as an activity that victimizes and harms regardless of any particular content. Anxiety about blogging relies on an image of the world as a communicative one, a world wherein communication is ubiquitous and fragile, dangerous yet unavoidable. That bloggers or blogging is a fact of the world that one cannot escape. The claim that blogging is harmful, that the rest of us are its victims, points to a link between blogging and anxiety. The practice of blogging itself is harmful. Harm is an embedded feature of the application, like a link or a tag. For the body, it highlights the Filipino's breast, savagery, docility, and the erotics of the American Empire. In colonial documents, savage breasts were signs of conquest. Imperial cultures deployed barbarism and female nudity to justify imperial violence and articulate colonial fantasisms about the savage land. Columbus, who fetishized the colonial breast of native women, was convinced that the world was not round but pear-shaped and topped by a protuberance much like a woman's nipple. First, he explained in his account of the New World, his early encounters with natives emphasized their nakedness and their physical beauty. Second, the nakedness of the native with a special emphasis on the female native's attractive body recalls Adam and Eve's exile from paradise as creatures who were spiritually naked, gentle people with no weapons, laws, religions, or literature. And third, the imperial impulse to convert these exiles of Christianity, coupled with travelers' tales of wealth and gold in uncharted, exotic lands.
Taking an innovative, post-colonial feminist perspective on transformations in the Philippines nation in the context of globalization, fantasy production provides a theoretical framework for understanding the nationalist and post-colonial capitalist logics shaping the actions of the Philippines as a nation-state. Taylor probes the consequences of dominant Philippine imagination by examining a broad range of phenomena which characterize the contemporary Philippine nation, including the mass migration overseas of domestic workers, the prostitution economy, urban restructuring, the popular revolt toppling the Marcos dictatorship, as well as various works of art, poetry, historiography, and film. Time: Jonathan Crary. Jonathan Crary's 24/7, Late Capitalism and the Ends of Sleep is a short, sharp polemic against the humanizing conditions of neoliberalism, the non-stop marketplace, and the concomitant demands for constant productivity and attentiveness. Crary is a professor of art history. In 24/7, Crary adds an analysis of the shift in attention brought about in the mid-20th century. This periodization is important as it highlights the concurrence of the political reorientations of the post-Cold War period. Crary notes that by the late 1990s, the vertically integrated corporations that controlled these technologies were expressly competing for the eyeballs of consumers in the new attention economy of the 21st century. Crary begins and ends 24/7 by arguing that sleep is our last refuge from the affront of neoliberalism and its morass of simulated needs. Sleep is an uncompromising interruption of the theft of time from us by capitalism. Crary draws on Marxist grounds to define capitalism as a reordering of time. Crary writes, there is a relentless incursion of the non-time of 24/7 into every aspect of social or personal life. Technology, Rafael Vicente. The cell phone and the crowd. Messianic politics in the contemporary Philippines. This essay explores the role of the cell phones and the practice of texting within the context of the civilian-backed coup that overthrew President Joseph Estrada in January of 2001, popularly known as People Power 2. It focuses in particular on a set of political fantasies among the Filipino middle class. In the same vein, they had faith in their ability to master the relationship to the masses of people with whom they regularly shared Manila's crowded streets, utilizing the power of crowds to speak to the state. Communication from this perspective held the messianic promise of refashioning the heterogeneous crowd into a people addressing and addressed by the promise of justice. For once heard, the masses called attention to the fragility of bourgeois claims to shape the sending and reception of messages about the proper practice of politics in the nation-state.
Globalisasyon ni Benvenido Lambera. Tungkulin ng lahat ng progresibong guro at mag-aaral ang pagpapalaganap na makabayang siyentipiko at makasamang edukasyon sa loob ng bansa ng mga formal na institusyong pang-edukasyon. Isa itong mabisang sandata laban sa rumaragasang neoliberal na opisyalidad sa edukasyon at may mapakahalagang papel na pagkakamit ng tunay na ganap ng mahalagang pagbabago. Identities in Pop Culture by Rolando Tolentino. Popular culture and pleasure middle class. Education is different from popular culture. It is informal knowledge generated by media, television, radio, movie, DVD, cell phones, internet, video key, cable, and etc. In fact, any artifact of popular culture has a self-life. It is only famous for a current fate even through this always media and generated reliving it. But there is no shortage of new trends, and within adoptions of a new and commodities of popular culture are also marked by the obsolescence and obsolete. Nonetheless, popular culture is involved with associated affirmations of the truth. It reveals our personality, can be identified not only by our chosen friend, but also by popular culture communities. This patronage is generationally creating conscious and unconscious will of collectivization. The affinity of popular culture and formal education is the way both pay of the suspended viable fact about identity, our requirements of being middle-class citizens. With the advent of national development of global ICT, or information and communication technology, placing the country and its labor force at the low level of the new global and sexual divisions of labor, particularly in call center works, tertiary education is no longer promising of redemption.